So as we look at the 1980s, a lot of the shows from the 70s and 80s have been brought back to Amazon Prime in Canada in recent days. Battlestar Galactica, which is kind of arguably the worst, best science fiction show of all time. And this show had so much influence in the 1980s, I really don't think we understood how bad TV was in relation to appreciating popular music until this show came in, that used popular music as a plot point in mostly every episode and had various music stars of all genres appear as guest stars. Now, Miami Vice, for the 5 people out there who doesn't know what that show is an American crime drama TV series created by Anthony Yurkovich and produced by Michael Mann for NBC. The series starred Don Johnson and James Sonny Crockett, and the beautiful, debonair, and somewhat crazy Philip Michael Thomas as Ricardo Rico Tubbs, 2 Metro-Dade Police Department detectives working undercover in Miami. The series ran for 5 years on NBC from September 84 to June 28 to 89, which was the last glory years of MTV. Now, the USA Network began airing reruns in 88 and broadcast a previously unaired episode during a syndication run of the series on January 25, 1990. Unlike standard police procedurals, the show drew heavily upon 1980s culture, new wave, and is noted for its integration of contemporary pop and rock music and stylish or stylized visuals. People magazine states that Miami Vice was the first show to look really new and different since color TV was invented. Now, that's a weird comment, but the thing is, we didn't see anything similar to this because the cops were dressed like a new wave band. Mann also directed a modernized film adaptation based on the series, which was released in July 2006. Now, the conception of the show was unclear. One version of events states that the head of NBC's entertainment division, Brandon Tartikoff, wrote a brainstorming memo that simply read MTV Cops, and later presented to the series creator Yurkovich, formerly a writer and producer for Hill Street Blues. Yurkovich, however, has indicated he devised the concept after learning about asset forfeiture statutes allowing law enforcement agencies to confiscate the property of drug dealers for official use. I don't think, unless Scarface would have came out a year before, the show would not have been seen, but that's another story altogether. The initial idea was a movie about a pair of vice cops in Miami. Yurkovich then wrote a script for a 2-hour pilot titled Gold Coast, but later renamed it Miami Vice. Yurkovich was immediately drawn to South Florida as a setting for his new style police show. Now, the choice of music and cinematography borrowed heavily from the emerging new wave culture of the 1980s. As such, segments of Miami Vice sometimes used music-based stanzas, a technique later featured in Baywatch. Now, the show is written, according to one of the directors, Lee Katzin, for an MTV audience which is more interested in images, emotions, and energy than plot and character and words. These elements made the series an instant hit. Its first season saw an unprecedented 15 Emmy Award nominations. Now, while the first few episodes contained elements of a standard police procedural, the procedure soon abandoned them in favor of more distinctive style. Influenced by Art Deco revival, no war tones were allowed to be used in the production by Mann. A director of Miami Vice, Bobby Roth, recalled there are certain colors you're not allowed to shoot, such as red and brown. If the script says that Mercedes pulls up here, the car people will show you 3 or 4 different Mercedes. One will be white, one will be black, one will be silver. You will not get a red or brown. Michael knows how things are going to look on camera. Now, ironically, this would have made a strange tag team. Nick Nolte and Jeff Bridges were considered for the role of Sonny, but since it was not lucrative at the time for film stars of venture in television, other candidates were considered. Mickey Rourke was also considered for the role, but he turned down the offer. Don Johnson kind of plays it like a poor man's Mickey Rourke at times. Of all people, Larry Wilcox of Chips fame was also a candidate for Crockett, but the producers felt going from one police officer role to another would not be a good fit for the fans. After a dozen of candidates in a twice-delayed pilot shooting, Johnson and the great Philip Michael Thomas were chosen as the cops. For Johnson, who was by then 34 years old but had been a star since his teen years, NBC Universal had doubts about the several earlier unsuccessful pilots in which he starred. And ironically, Jimmy Smits played Eddie Rivera, who was blown up real good in the pilot. He was Crockett's ill-fated partner. Now, after 2 seasons, Johnson threatened to walk from the series as part of a highly publicized contract dispute. The network was ready to replace him with, of all people, Mark Harmon from St. Elsewhere, who recently left the show. But the network and Johnson were able to resolve their differences, and he continued with the series until its end. And of course, Harmon played the deliberate stranger, so I don't know how the fans would react going from Ted Bundy to Miami Vice. Now, despite the Miami setting, the producers initially planned to film the series in L.A. However, by the time production began, the decision had been to shoot in Miami itself, and many episodes of Miami Vice were filmed in the South Beach section of Miami Beach. Now, Miami Vice, again, is noted for its innovative use of stereo broadcast music, particularly pop and rock hits of the 80s, and distinctive synthesized instrumental music of the great Jan Hammer. While other TV shows used made-for-TV music, Miami Vice would spend $10,000 or more per episode to buy the rights to the original recordings. I think in the first pilot episode of 2 hours, there was a Cyndi Lauper sound-alike, and someone did All Night Long, but it wasn't Lionel Richie, it was a band singer. Now, getting a song played on Miami Vice was a boost to record labels and artists. Some newspapers, such as USA Today, would let readers know the songs that would be featured each week. Among the many well-known bands and artists, as well as underground and new wave associated acts who contributed to the show, included Lovely, Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend, El DeBarge, Duran Duran, The Power Station, Devo, Sinead O'Connor, Russ Ballard, Black Uhura, Jackson Browne, Kate Bush, Meatloaf, Phil Collins, Bryan Adams, Tina Turner, PIL, Johnny Rotten, of course, Peter Gabriel, Pink Floyd, ZZ Top, The Smiths, The Tubes, Dire Straits, Depeche Mode, The Hooters, Iron Maiden, The Alan Parsons Project, The Ward Brothers, Godley and Cream, Corey Hart, Glenn Frey, U2, Underworld, Phil Collins, of course, the famous In the Air Tonight scene for the first pilot movie, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Propaganda, Foreigner, The Police, Red 7, Ted Nugent, Suicidal Tendencies, The Damned, Billy Idol, The Church, Billy Ocean, Eric Clapton. Now, several artists guest starred in the episodes, either regular or recurring, including our Canadian superstar Leonard Cohen, Phil Collins, Miles Davis, The Power Station, Glenn Frey, Suicidal Tendencies, Willie Nelson, Ted Nugent, Frank Zappa, The Fat Boys, Sheen Easton, Gloria Estefan, and Gene Simmons of Kiss. An iconic scene again for the Miami Vice oeuvre involves Crockett and Tubbs driving to Miami at night to Phil Collins' song In the Air Tonight. Now, Jan Hammer credits the EP Man with allowing him great creative freedom and scoring Miami Vice. Now, the Miami Vice original soundtrack featured the theme song in Glenn Frey's Smuggler's Blues and You Belong to the City, a number 2 hit, remained at the top of the U.S. album charts for 11 weeks in 1985, making the most successful TV soundtrack at the time. The theme song was so popular that it garnered 2 Grammy Awards in 1986. It was also voted the number 1 theme song of all time by TV Guide readers. Crockett's theme, another recurring theme tune from the show, became a number 1 hit in several European countries in 1987. Now, again, the fashions on the show made it big, had a big influence on men's fashion. They popularized, if not invented, the T-shirt on our Armani jacket style and popularized Italian men's fashion in the States. Don Johnson's typical attire of Italian sport coat, T-shirt, white linen pants, and slip-on socks and loafers became a hit. Now, the abundance of pastel colors in the show reflect Miami's Art Deco architecture. But again, the Ray-Ban sales were strong. When Crockett wore a pair of them, it increased sales of a certain unit by 720,000. Now, the cars in the show included Ferraris, Testarossas, all kind of different vehicles. Now, and boats and seaplanes were a big part of the series as well. Now, scripts were loosely based on actual crimes that had occurred in Miami over the years, including the Miami River Cop scandal, when a real police corruption ring that involved narcotic thefts, drug dealing, and murders was done, and also Yakuza and Mafia activity in Miami. Now, the five-year run, Miami Vice underwent several noticeable changes in formula and content. Between season 1 and 2, these changes were mostly subtle and involved details such as degree of perfection with which color shades of scene, backdrops, props, and clothing are matching each other. Now, it was brought from 10 p.m. and 9 a.m. after cancellation of Knight Rider, which fought up against Dallas, and that's when the ratings kind of tanked a little bit. Now, the cancellation, after still declining ratings during the 4th year, NBC originally planned to order just a shortened 5th season of only 13 episodes, but eventually settled for another full run to aid the syndication package. However, this either way was going to be their final season. At the beginning of season 5, actress Olivia Brown recalled the show was trying to reinvent itself, and according to Dick Wolf, who was kind of over by that season, his run and scores. Now, in May 1989, NBC aired a 2-hour season finale, Freefall. Despite its status as a series finale, there was 3 episodes that did not air, which appeared during the June reruns as lost episodes. A fourth previously unaired episode, Too Much Too Late, was aired for the first time in 1990 at the USA Network. It's seen being run by other networks in syndication with the fifth season episodes. Hello? That's your dad. No, he's hung up. You just call him back. So in Miami Vice, the other big thing was the celebrities and B-level actors who would appear in the show. According to published reports, numerous actors, actresses, musicians, comedians, athletes, and celebrities appeared throughout the show as a 5-season run, which was 100 and some episodes. They played many different roles, from drug dealers to undercover cops to madams. Musicians include, again, Sheen Easton, John Taylor, Andy Taylor, Willie Nelson, Gene Simmons, Ted Nugent, Glenn Frey, Zappa, Collins, Miles Davis, Frankie Valli, Little Richard, James Brown, Leonard Cohen, the Power Station, Cote Mundi, and Eartha Kitt. Other personalities included auto executive Lee Iacocca, Watergate criminal G. Gordon Liddy, athletes including Bill Russell, Bernard King, race car driver Danny Sullivan, and boxers Roberto Duran and Randall Tex Cobb. Notable actors included Dean Stockwell, Pam Grier, Clarence Williams III, and Brian Denny. Now, the show frequently featured guest appearances by up-and-coming actors and actresses, including Larry Fishburne, Viggo Mortensen, Dennis Farina, Stanley Tucci, Jimmy Smits, Bruce McGill, David Strathairn, Ving Rhames, Liam Neeson, Lou Diamond Phillips, Bruce Willis, Ed O'Neill, and Julia Roberts. Additionally, Michael Madsen, Ian McShane, Bill Paxton, Louis Guzman, Kira Sedgwick, Isai Morales, Terry O'Quinn, Joaquin de Alameda, Wesley Snipes, John Turturro, Melanie Griffith, Don Johnson's paramour, Annie Golden, and notable comedians John Leguizamo, David Rash, Ben Stiller, Chris Rock, Tommy Chong, Richard Belzer, and Penn Jillette. Now, numerous accolades, ratings were strong. It was not in the top 30 for the last 2 seasons and in the original season, but it was top 10 in 86 and top 27 in 87, 21.3 rating. Now, numerous accolades were received by Miami Vice, especially in that first season, at Edward James Olmos. Directors Guild of America was a nomination. The great Paul Michael Glasser was nominated for Smuggler's Blues. Now, it won art direction for a series, cinematography, and film sound editing, and outstanding supporting actor in a drama in that 85 campaign. Golden Globe Awards, he got numerous nominations. Edward James Olmos won supporting. Don Johnson, Betty's Boy, PMT for the Best Actor, and was nominated for Best TV Series Drama. Johnson was nominated again in 86, and of course Edward James Olmos was nominated for Best Supporting in 88. Now, 85 won 2 Grammys for Jan Hammer, Miami Vice Team, Best Instrumental, and Best Pop Instrumental Performance. Now, the Miami Vice soundtrack didn't chart in Canada, but went number 1 in the States and went number 9 in the R&B charts. It only went number 2 in the Netherlands. Now, singles, again, Miami Vice Team did not chart in Canada, but it went number 1 in the States. And it was on the Adult Contemporary Hot Dance Club Songs, Hot Dance Music Maxi Singles, Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs, and Hot Mainstream Rock Tracks, all top 30. Now, Own the Night by Shaka Khan went top 66 in the States. Vice by Melly Mel went top 100. You Belong to the City went Adult Contemporary number 2 in the States. Smuggler's Blues went top 25 in the United Kingdom. Patti LaBelle went top 15 with The Last Unbroken Heart. Gladys Knight the Pips 14 with Send It to Me. Andy Taylor, When the Rain Comes Down 73. Crockett's Team went number 2 in the UK and number 1 in the Netherlands. Now, Sheen Easton went number 14 in the Netherlands with Follow My Rainbow. Call It Love from Miami Vice 3 went number 6 in Switzerland. Dirty Laundry, Don Henley, of course, went number 7 in New Zealand. And Satellite by the Hooters went number 20 in the Netherlands. Now, Vice won 2 People's Choice Awards as favorite new dramatic program and favorite TV dramatic program, 85, 86, back to back. So there's a plethora of stuff going on here. The music, the clothes, the cars, the fashions. But like I said, it's a Scarface kind of sequel because, if I'm not mistaken, Philip Michael Thomas was bilingual. He could speak Spanish and some Portuguese. And Don Johnson's character, it's kind of a... But they were predicting superstardom for Don Johnson since he did that movie with the dog. I think it was Boy and His Dog. And it finally hit. But that was the part of the year you had Kurt Russell, you had Jeff Bridges, you had Beau Bridges, you had Don Johnson, that same nice-looking kind of, all sorted man. They were getting away from the Rip Torns and the Clint Eastwoods, even the Dennis Hoppers. But that was a weird time when, ladies and gentlemen, Don Johnson was more popular. He was the most popular American TV actor at the time. And Philip Michael Thomas should have been a superstar in the black community. And by the way, he came up with the idea for the term EGOT. Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. So that's it. I think, and I once saw his record on sale at a record store in Woodstock, New Brunswick, just the way I planned it. I did a previous podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, Miami Vice, it is a top 20 show of all time. Not the greatest. They weren't doing something new, but it's giving you scrambled eggs with a little bit of hot sauce on top, maybe a side of, a fruit you never had before. The only problem I had with the movie, there wasn't much Canadian crime in there, because in Canada you got Catronis, the Rizzutos, the Tong Mafia, Kanesatake Mohawk Mafia, Hell's Angels, Rock Machine. I would like to see an episode with the Rock Machine taking on, Crockett and Tubbs. That would have been good. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing here, we're at TV Celebrations. Let us know what a like, comment, subscribe, or share.